A young man came into my life. He spoke to me. He said, the Lord is going to allow you to go through a lot of tough times. A lot of people are going to break your heart, but the Lord going to hold you up. Well, I grew up in Richmond, Virginia. I was an athlete in high school because sports was my life. But I was one of those kids that was, at the same time, kind of confused about my identity. And I always wanted to try to excel and perform and impress my parents, and because I always felt out of place. I knew of God, I was baptized, but I didn't know him. I went to Virginia State University. I slept, ate, and drank football. Football was my life. And I had torn my ligaments in my knee, and I couldn't play anymore. I was very depressed. And my ex-college roommate, I found out he was a drug, dealer, and I got caught up doing the wrong thing at the wrong time. On college campus, I became a drug addict. And what turned me around, one of my best friends, that I really admired at the time, he OD'd, and that took me out. I just asked the Lord right then to take this away from me. Got myself back together, came on out of school. My first job was teaching English, and the principal, who was my high school principal, called me to Bronze. He said, I want you to come in here and work with these kids. I know you don't know anything about teaching English, but I just want you to in there with them. So I went there, and then I had another traumatic experience. I was doing a teaching class because I was kind of the phys ed person, teaching them dance, music, and all of that. When we walked the kids back to the class, there was one little kid that put his hand on this girl's behind. So I took the kid out of line, and I didn't want to embarrass him. I took him to the teacher's lounge, okay? Took him to the teacher's lounge and said, no, son, you don't need to be doing that, okay? The next time I got to the school, the following week, because it was a 7-day cycle, this kid went home and lied to his parents that I put my hands on him. And they took it as a sign, I guess in their mind, of molestation. I came to school, back to that school, they had a hearing. As soon as I walked in that hearing, I was terminated. But that experience tore me up. I was accused for something I didn't ever do. I had a pregnant wife. I put my heart and soul into my job. Tore me up, but that was what God allowed to happen to bring me to Atlanta. I came to Atlanta. I was down here 2 months with a pregnant wife. My ex-wife's mother, brother, his wife, her best friend, all of them came down. They were taking all my furniture, all my blood, taking everything, and her included, back to Richmond, Virginia. It was all on me. I was out there crazy, running around with other women. So I already knew it wasn't anything my ex-wife did. It was all the choices I made, And they left me because of those choices. They left me, and I lived in the streets for almost 2 years. I slept on snow. I slept on park benches. I was so hungry. I was so hungry. I went into there was a restaurant. I was going to go into the restaurant because Lord knows I was hungry. I was ready to go to jail for a plate of food. I woke up a lot of days not wanting to live. I woke up a lot of days not knowing where my next meal was coming from. I woke up a lot of days asking God why. I understand what Job had to go through. He was in a pit. Joseph was in a pit. Jesus was in a pit. I knew at that point that I knew it was something I had to do. And then I accepted it. I didn't understand it, but I accepted it. I accepted that okay, God, you're going to have to bring me out of this. And that's when things started turning around for me. I was sitting in the Omni one day, and this young man came by. He had just left the Salvation Army. He said, hey, man, they're looking for a PR director, the man hiring upstairs. So we go up, and the guy hires me. I'm homeless. He hires a homeless man. I became a PR director at Our Magazine, OUR Magazine. The man also gave me the keys to a Rolls Royce. You want to hear my story? You think I can go home and tell people about this? They wouldn't believe it. Come to find out, I drove downtown in the Rolls Royce, and police from everywhere stopped me with a bullhorn. One of them said, "Get out the car." And I didn't know what was going. He looked in the trunk, said, "This man doing drugs." Come to find out, it was a front. He was in that office as a front to do drugs. He was from Miami. So right after that, I left that situation, and I went back, went back, caught up in the world again. And then I said, "Lord, I'm tired. I'm tired." Left the school system. I broke my ribs. I almost died in the hotel room. Lord said, "This is it." I said, "Lord, if you get me," I couldn't even breathe. Security at the hotel knocked on the door. It was God sent an angel up there to save my life, rushed me to the hospital, and that's when I totally surrendered. And they gave me a ministry called Let the Hatred Go. The real ministry of Coach Speaks Ministries is all about love and letting hatred go. You know, hate is nothing more than misunderstanding. I was going through things in life and didn't understand why. I didn't understand why, so that gave me birth. I had a clause that come in my life called, "You don't fight what you understand. You only fight what you don't understand." I didn't understand who I was as a man because I had a child on earth, but couldn't raise as a father. I wasn't there. I was homeless. Every time I got to a certain point in life, I was going back down. But see, deep down inside, I knew the reason. I wasn't living right. Knew the reason. Because back then, I'm an ex-homeless man. Back then, I'm an ex-drug addict. Back then, I had a lot of hatred. Back then, I was running the streets. But today, I'm an ordained minister. It's like every time I was in a situation, the Lord allowed me to go through it to show His glory. No matter what it looks like, God is always there. Left that and became a chaplain where I'm now at. I was doing it my way, and it didn't last. I was doing it for all the wrong reasons, and that's what I learned in that. I had to get to the point, even when following those hunches, I was willing, but I wasn't ready to hear and listen and obey. So I kept listening to my emotions. I wanted to do the right thing in my heart, like Paul used to say, but I wasn't strong enough to get it done until I understood that I couldn't do it without Christ. So everything is 100% full-time ministry. You know how you read a book? You look at a book, but until you read it, you don't know what it's all about. I didn't understand until I had that inner peace inside of me and had a real revelation of who He was. I thought I knew Him. When God blessed me to know Him, and I just really understood who He was when I became a chaplain. See, I got it now. Before, I was all in the flesh. I'm ready to fight. Let's get it on. You don't have to do that no more. When you free in Christ, when you really free, you show love. See, I got it now. And through it all, I know God allowed me and chose me to go through what I went through for something bigger than me. To be accepted. I always had a need. It was just, I guess what you call it was a lust thing. Because insecurity is lust in disguise. And I always had that need to be accepted or to impress. It didn't have necessarily to be with a woman. It just want attention. And when I indicated that I knew of Him but didn't know Him, see, you can know what a movie theater is, but until you've seen the movie, you don't know what it's saying. I got a revelation of compassion and the pain that people were going through. And it grew me up as a man. It grew me up as a husband. It grew me up as a father. It grew me up as a son of God. No matter what it looks like, God is always there.